I started playing the piano at 2. I learned to play songs like Mary Had a Little Lamb. Of course, I started playing with my thumbs.
I was actually born in the United States, but I moved to Papua New Guinea when I was 3 years old.
My mother was a naturalist, but she was a painter, but she was a naturalist. And my father was a geologist.
The program was started back in 1976, and they were the first program to have full scholarships for disabled athletes to go to school.
I had written a piece called Dancing Queen that talked about my love of dance and how I love to dance on my knees, but that I had a surgery that prevented me from getting on the floor anymore because my doctors didn't like the way that I sat on the floor.
I think my journey into advocacy in general started as I started learning to talk, because from a very young age, I was really, really interested in talking to everybody that I could. And I always wanted to introduce everybody that I saw to my family and who I was.
So this is one of the skeleton art printed pieces, and this is another version of the same one. 14 years now, I've been going back to skeletons, so I have many versions of different skeleton art. Because when I was in the military, one of my primary jobs was working mortuary affairs.
I'm a military veteran, right? I was in the U.S. Army, airborne infantry, and then went to Ranger School, and then did tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, or Afghanistan and Iraq, rather. I started going into playwriting when I was at the University of Texas at Austin.
The cover girl. So I opened up with him singing a Prince song, little old me. I could never take the place of your man. That's the way I sounded as a kid.
I'd been really wanting to tell a Latinx story. And I have to be specific here because I wanted to tell a Latinx story that concentrated on the Tejano perspective. So Mexican American ancestry, people who had lived for generations in Texas, because that is an American story, but it's a different type of American identity that I don't know is always highlighted.
Something that we knew going into this research and something that is continually being reinforced and discussed in these different ways is disability itself in the construct as it is and as we know it is so much broader than what, say, you learn in school or you learn in a studio or you learn, reading how to have an inclusive class,
So I think that it's important that for us to support each other, to support disabled artists, to learn about one another and learn from one another. And it is beautiful to have those cross-disability friendships, because those are the friendships and the relationships that allow us to speak on behalf of other people like us. And that's what I try to do through my cartoons now.
My first 50 years were working woman, Marine, mother, wife, all that stuff. And my next 50 years is artist,
So many things to remember, 'cause they had 50 years. It's these short lines with tons of breathing line in between them. And by the time he gets to the end of that first half of a verse, because they had 50 years, your heart is already breaking because you're already figuring out the story.